and then at some point someone will win $500. No. This is every day. There will be 2 keywords and 2 opportunities to enter to win $500 on that day. There will be a winner today.
That's amazing.
There will be a winner from today. And then there will be a winner from tomorrow's keywords. And then there will be a winner from Wednesday's keywords. And then Thursday and then Friday. And then we're going to re-rack it and do it all again next week.
I'm here for it.
So tap into the Insiders, of course, from 10 a.m. to noon. And then D-Lo and KC from noon to 4 right here, ESPN 1320. So the NBA playoffs got underway last night, or excuse me, on Saturday. I can't tell if it was a good set of games or not. I can't tell if I was just excited to have playoff basketball on my TV, but Pacers Bucks was not entertaining. Clippers Nuggets was awesome.
Yep.
That was a great game. Knicks Pistons, good game.
Quality. It wasn't horrible.
Knicks pulled away late. But then Lakers Timberwolves, not a good game. Memphis OKC was one of the worst playoff games I've ever watched.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Orlando and Boston. Orlando stuck around for a little bit, but it never felt like they were in control of that game, and Boston blew them out. Same thing, Miami and Cleveland. Miami kept it within that 10, 11-point range. I think they cut it to 8, but they couldn't get over the hump and make a run. And then Golden State Houston was a good game. I know it ended up being decided by 10, but it was closer than that. So I can't tell. If I was just happy to have the playoffs back, or if there was good basketball happening.
I think it was really fun how it was just one game after another after another after another. You're just like, this is a lot of basketball. I watched more basketball on Saturday than I have in a long time. And it was just like sitting there like, okay, like the games are okay. I kept telling, we were away for the weekend. I kept saying, hey, we don't have to actually watch basketball the whole day. The Kings aren't playing anymore. I don't have to actually cover a game or anything. But to watch it all unfold like it did, like I was definitely surprised at not that that OKC thumped Memphis. I just didn't think it would be like that. Like, I mean, there's losing to a team and there's losing by 51.
So, right.
And that was a 50-point game from like in like the early third quarter.
Yeah, that wasn't one of those they were up 30 and then they pulled away. Like, no. They stayed up 50.
That could have been a 70-point win if they would have just kept going.
If the Grizzlies scored 27 points in the third quarter, the Grizzlies did. Not a great quarter, but not a bad quarter. I mean, 27 points. If Oklahoma City did not score a point in the third quarter, they still would have been up 5 going into the fourth.
Oh.
And instead, they scored 44 in the third quarter.
They outscored them by 17 in the third.
49 points, I think they were up going into the third. Going into the fourth.
Absolutely wild. Absolutely crazy.
The thing that jumped out to me in that win, because Oklahoma City was always going to win this series, no matter who came out of the play-in, Oklahoma City was going to win this series in 4 or 5 games.
Well, yeah, because the Kings would have had the same exact fate.
It would have looked very, very similar, I think. So you watch this game, and the big takeaway for me was like when Oklahoma City here. This was the perfect encapsulation of it. Oklahoma City puts their empty the bench lineup out to like start the fourth, right? But their empty the bench lineup, you're like, oh, I like that guy. Oh, that guy can play. Oh, I watched that guy light up a team for 31 time. Their end of their wave the white flag, ball game over. Here's this lineup is like a top 10 seed in the West. And they're just like, here, these guys can go play now, I guess. They're ridiculous. What a silly team.
Yeah.
And I'm watching, you watch OKC do that to Memphis, and this is not, OKC is not going to win every game in this series by 50. Memphis might get a game. Oklahoma City is going to run up against Minnesota or the Lakers at some point, and they're going to give them a tougher series. But I went from, Oklahoma City is going to come out of the West. I'd be pretty surprised if it was the Clippers or the Nuggets or the Lakers or the Warriors. If any other team came out of the West, I'd be pretty surprised. I would now be floored. Somebody's got to beat this Oklahoma City team 4 out of 7 times.
Yeah, the thing, too, that really sets in is that 2 years ago when the Kings won 48 games and they were the 3rd seed in the West, they were so much better than OKC.
Yeah.
And to lose this much ground that quickly without them going out and getting like Kevin Durant or something.
Yeah.
Like just to lose with them adding like a mid center like a defensive-minded guy, and adding Alex Caruso, which is a very good player, but like just a defensive guy who's playing 20 minutes a night or whatever. For them to take the leap that they have and just to continuously get better because of like organic growth.
Yeah.
And then to see the Kings like on the flip side of it and just look and go, you have no ability for organic growth. There's nothing. Like Devin Carter can be a little bit better. Keegan Murray can be a little bit better, but your internal growth is gone. It's just such a jarring thing to watch one team that like figured it out and just keeps stacking. I mean, they still have draft picks. They still have tons of capital. And this team's just going to continuously get better.
Yep.
Like they're going to bring a championship to OKC.
You bring up that organic growth, and I think that's interesting because you have it with Denver. That's what Denver was when that Nikola Jokic has been really good for a long time, but they didn't acquire him after he was good. You know, like they've built this internally and they've been patient and they've let this thing play out. And when Jamal Murray was dealing with his injury stuff and they're getting bounced in the playoffs, they just kept plugging away. And then all of a sudden they won a title. I think you can say the same thing with Minnesota. They draft Anthony Edwards. I know they made the Rudy Gobert trade, but outside of that, it's Naz Reid, and they traded away Karl Anthony Towns, which feels insane. But if that was organic growth, and then they didn't make the Karl Anthony Towns move because they thought it was going to make them better.
No, that was trying to save money.
Right. That was a pure financial move.
Yeah.
But they let the Anthony Edwards thing work out. They said, hey, this is our guy. We're going to pay Jalen McDaniels because we think he's going to be a dude, particularly defensively. And they picked a path and they've gone with it. And I think that's just kind of the theme. Oklahoma City, Minnesota, Denver. The Lakers are never going to be. They don't have to do that. They're a different. I don't even know.
Yeah.
But they fall into Pau Gasol for nothing. They fall into Luka Doncic for nothing. They get to sign LeBron James. Just like, all right, man, whatever.
Yeah, the Lakers you can't compare any other franchise to them.
They get the Lightning Lane.
Yeah.
The Fast Pass at Disneyland is now called the Lightning Lane.
Okay.
That's what the Lakers get.
Okay.
They just, every other team, it's like, okay, we got to draft these guys. You got to develop these guys. Okay, we're going to sign this free agent. Okay, we're going to make this little trade to kind of try and round out the edges. The Lakers are like, oh, man, we've had 3 losing seasons in a row. All right, LeBron, Anthony Davis, Luka Doncic. Here we go. We're just going to make this all happen. Like, all right, guys.
They also have this.
Must be nice.
They have this thing where when they do make mistakes and then they make a bunch of them, and they've got a bunch of like, instead of having one $35 million player, they have like a 12, an 11, and another $12 million player. And it's like, hey, we'll trade all of our trash for your good stuff. And someone like Danny Ainge is always like, okay, I'm in. Like, what just happened? How come you got more like talented players for nothing? Like, it's just the way it is.
It's insane. It's just
We're the Lakers.
Not begrudging them. It's just, when you're talking about teams picking a path and going with it, and how that was like the Kings had done that 2 years ago. Like you said, they were so far ahead of OKC.
I know. They're so far ahead of so many of these teams.
Now, I do want to say, I do want to say, Oklahoma City was on this path. Oklahoma City would still be better than the Kings right now, probably.
Yeah.
Even if the Kings had stuck with their path from 22-23. Oklahoma City is sick.
Well, yeah, but there was a way in which the Kings could have continued to build. You remember,
I agree. I agree.
Not to like continuously throw it in his face, but maintain and improve. And improve.
Right.
Like you could have put it on a shirt, except for it would have been like the most retro shirt ever, like 6 months in. Like you didn't maintain and you didn't improve. You didn't improve you didn't maintain, which was the basics. You didn't improve at all. You didn't go get the pieces to improve. So yeah, I mean, we can look at it and say, yeah, they're so far behind. But if you would have done something more reasonable, if you would have been able to improve the team at different stages, added depth in different ways, the Kings could have easily like maintained and been right in this.
I agree. Yeah. I don't think that was not to say that the Kings were always going to, that was Oklahoma City was going to become a juggernaut in the West. regardless. I don't think it's a bad thing.
No.
If the Kings had stayed on their path and Oklahoma City was better. What stands out about this is that the Kings have fallen off so far, while Oklahoma City in 2 years just gone boop, boop.
Yep.
They took that exact path from, all right, they made the play-in. Okay, they made the playoffs and they made their little run, and now they look like the singular dominant force in the West.
Oh yeah.
And I don't even know. I don't even know who gives them a series. Who gives them I don't. They'll have a series that goes to 6, maybe. But is it one of those series that goes to 6 because they were up 3-1 and then the other team won game 5, and then it goes to 6? And they're like, all right, fine, we'll end this now.
Yeah.
Like that's just kind of how it, and maybe I'm biased. I could super see the recency bias of watching them beat a playoff team by 50. I can see that clouding my judgment a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe Memphis wins the next game by 20 and we think a lot differently. I don't think they're gonna, but
I'll tell you the interesting thing about them. They've been able to build this team. Their payroll this season is $167 million. It's $5 million below the actual luxury tax. Next season, when the luxury tax when salary cap jumps like $17 million bucks, whatever it is, it's going up 10%, a full 10%. They're only at $172 million for next season, and all of their players under contract. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 players under contract, and team options on the other Jalen Williams and AJ Mitchell. Here's the other thing that's crazy, Kyle.
Lord.
Every single one of their Harkenstein, Dort, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, Kenrich Williams, Cason Wallace, all of them.
You just named so many quality players.
All of those players, their final year are team options. That's when you know you're
Golly,
good.
Man.
When you're like, you know what? It's our choice. It's our choice if we keep you or not.
They could. This is where we always talk about, making these big trades or whatever. They are in a spot where they not only have the draft capital, but then you just named a bunch of players that so many teams would love to bring in with draft capital. If the Phoenix Suns really want to get out from under Kevin Durant, or if Kevin Durant wants to get out from under the Phoenix Suns, I don't know which way that goes, but that's like the perfect spot because they could get picks, they could get young players back, and you can kind of start a rebuild with ready-made NBA players that okay, this guy can play. This guy's at least an NBA rotation player. And they could do that. They could deal 4 of those guys you just named. Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, Jalen Williams, Kenrich Williams, and be fine.
Yep.
That's insane.
And they'll backfill. Because like this year, they've got the Clippers pick. They've got the Miami Heat pick. They have the Philadelphia 76ers pick.
God.
Next year, they have either the first round pick from Houston or LA. They have a first round pick from the Utah Jazz. Like these are 2027. They've got Denver's first round pick. They've got the Clippers first round pick. The next year they've got Dallas's first round pick. Like they're still so loaded with draft picks. They have so many extra seconds. Like they can sit here and tinker with this thing and make it absolutely perfect. Just keep fine tuning it. Or they can just do what they're doing where they get guys on really good contracts and they get them to lock up long term. And they have this thing where like, hey, but the last year, just so you know, it's a team option. It's not a player option like every other team is packed with player options.
Man. And they just all get along.
Yeah.
They're just, man, what a team. Now they're going to lose in the second round and make me look real dumb. They're just going to lose to Minnesota or something in the second round. Yeah, we'll dive in more to the playoff series. We'll take a look at each game one. We're giving away $500 later. An NBA draft stunner this morning. We'll talk about that. And the NFL draft is coming up. We're having a draft show at Cache Creek. You and me.
That's right.
The Insiders at Cache Creek, 4 to 5 p.m. on Thursday. That's leading up to the draft. This is the pro football, the number one professional football league in the United States draft.
Yep.
4 to 5 p.m. in the YOLO room. Little conference ballroom thing, intimate setting. We're going to hang out. We're going to vibe. And then we're going to go down to the Elevate Lounge and we're going to watch the draft and hang out and drink good drinks and eat good food.
That's right.
And no microphones, nothing to do. We're just coming out with us. We're going to watch the draft and would like you to also be there to hang out with us. Joe's going to be there. Our guy, Joe Brazil, will be in the building. So come on out. And we're going to talk NFL draft. Our prospect of the day, I think, is interesting for both the Raiders and the 49ers. That's why he's going to be our prospect of the day. We'll have that coming up next for you, as well as more NBA postseason talk. James Ham is there. Joe Brazil's behind the glass. I'm Kyle Madsen. Jiffy Lube's omnipresent because they sponsor the program. We're the Insiders. We're here till noon. It's ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader. Dude, right? Like, Case and Wallace just on the break, like prime Dwayne Wade. Like, whatever, man. Sure.
So I went and checked out Flaming Grill because we were looking for a spot to eat.
Okay.
And
winner?
It popped up. Dude, yeah.
Come on.
It was really good. So you're 1 for 1 on places I have tried that you recommended.
Awesome.
Everyone loved it. The only problem was the burgers were huge.
That's a problem?
Well, so we were in the middle of our day of softball. So I ate a 10-ounce burger, pastrami burger with like chicken fries. Like,
you went in.
Yeah, I was really hungry. Really hungry. And that was only game 2 or 3. And I had 4 more games for the rest of the day after that.
Yeah, that's tough.
So I hit better following that, but I almost fell flat on my face in my first at bat running to first base because my legs were so heavy.
That's the worst.
You had the itis.
Yeah. Like I literally almost fell flat on my face. So, but it was really good. So shout out to you. The food was really good.
Oh yeah. While we're talking food places in Sacramento, Mojo's Kitchen is good. I went there this weekend with my buddy Frank. Salute to Frank. Hang on, watch at Mojo's, where they have a good beer selection, but also the food is really good, and that's really key for me. Because if I'm going to sit at a bar and watch an entire basketball game, or basketball games, hit me with a little side salad to start. Big time, delicious, and then we've eaten a bunch of stuff. Me and my friends have been there a bunch of times. We tried like the whole menu at this point, but it was funny because there was a Denver fan there in a Jokic jersey, watching the game and not being obnoxious, but it was him and 2 of his maybe girlfriend, wife, sister, I don't know, two ladies with him, and they were just when something good would happen, and the Nuggets are making their comeback, they're like, woo, like just not being loud, not being obnoxious. This guy sitting behind me just decides with like a minute and a half left in the game to just start obnoxiously rooting for the Clippers.
Oh, no.
It was, oh, man.
Just being a contrarian?
Yeah. Like, if Denver fan was being a jerk, it'd be one thing. Like, all right, you want to be petty, that's fine. But Denver fan was minding his business. And then you've got Rando over here just like, yeah, oh, Harden, yeah. It's like, all right, guy, relax. I did not like that. I didn't like it.
It's good that his team lost then.
Oh, it was the
You should have said,
best.
that's on you. You know that, right?
You caught that L.
That's on you.
If I had thought it was an actual Clippers fan, I might have, but I think it was just a guy being a jerk.
Yeah.
And he doesn't actually care. So salute to the Denver fan.
I gotta go check this place out though.
You do?
I do.
You want to go together?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Let's do that.
All right, cool.
We'll plan a day.
It's planned. It's already on.
That'll be cute.
Dirk, like the Kings have slightly sidetracked everybody by just going out and firing a GM and hiring another one the next morning, and then we're in coaching. Like, are they going to have a coaching search? Are they going to give it to Doug Christie? Like, I would like to tell you there's a big postmortem coming, but at the same time, like, look, man, there's other things happening. We're being distracted by things like, 12 players coming through for exit interviews. Uh-oh, Kyle's turning his hat backwards. This seems like a long break. Is that just me?
Yeah, there's a couple
1
1 minutes in there.
I've been starring stuff.
Okay. Love starring stuff.
How about them Angels, right? I can't stop watching Angels baseball, says, Chris.
That was a tough one yesterday, dude. You got to close that one out.
The A's gave up 14 yesterday?
Yeah, the Giants game was so rough.
That was a bad loss. That's a tough L. Listening.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Coming up in about 39 minutes, we're going to give away $500. We're doing that all week, and then all next week.
All right.
We're going to give you a keyword.
Yep.
And then D'Lo and KC will give you a keyword. We're doing that all week on ESPN 1320 and all next week.
And then we'll have a drawing in the afternoon, and then tomorrow morning we should know the winner and be able to announce a winner.
Right. Although the winner will probably know beforehand.
Yeah.
But yeah, $500 every day this week. We're going to give you 2 opportunities to win. One on our show with a keyword, one on D'Lo and KC with a keyword. You enter those at ESPN1320.com. So just get the site up on your browser right now.
Yeah.
ESPN1320.com. You'll see the contest page, and we'll give you that keyword coming up in about 38 minutes now. T-minus 38 minutes till keyword number 1, and your first opportunity to enter to win $500. A shocker in the NBA draft before we get to our NFL draft talk.
Yep.
Shocking NBA draft news. Cooper Flagg has declared.
I don't believe you.
No, I'm dead serious. He's not going back to Duke, it turns out.
What?
I know that we all thought that maybe he would go back.
I think when he had the ankle injury, he's like, oh, this is probably a bad idea.
I legitimately bet any inkling he had, I don't think he was ever going back. There's a difference between NIL money, and he's already got a New Balance endorsement, I think. There's a difference between NIL money and first pick in the draft to get your rookie clock started towards your max rookie extension, like all that. You just don't want to delay that any further.
Yeah, I wonder how much he does make right now.
It's probably so much.
I mean, you think he makes $10 million a year as a college student?
Ooh, maybe not 10 million. It's got to be up there, though.
You don't think the New Balance endorsement?
I don't know. I have no idea.
There was someone with the Kings that wore New Balance, and I can't remember. And I think it just ended like, maybe I'm wrong. I think it's Zach LaVine wears New Balance.
Oh, does he? Nice.
Somebody
Kawhi's
does.
a New Balance guy. So Shohei Ohtani. New Balance 550s are my favorite non-Jordan shoe.
Okay.
I'm not a shoe guy, but the New Balance 550 goes.
Now I'm gonna have to look up New Balance.
Yeah, there's an outlet near me. I'm gonna jump in there.
Really?
Oh, I'm not wearing it. I'm not wearing mine today.
I see. Okay. Yeah. I see him. So, as someone who works sporting goods forever, like New Balance makes a great shoe, but for basketball, I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't know if they're there.
I'll play. I come to a radio studio and I hang out.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I need them for, and they're great for that.
That's right.
So Cooper Flagg declares for the NBA draft. An absolute shocker. In the NFL draft.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do a prospect of the day all the way through. We'll even do one Friday. Because Friday is just day 2 of the draft.
Okay.
If you're unfamiliar, if you're uninitiated with the NFL draft process, there's day 1. That's the first round. The first round is going to take 4 hours.
And we will be there with you, hanging out.
We're vibing at the Elevate Lounge at Cache Creek.
That's right.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb. The Tennessee Titans have been on the clock since the season ended.
Yep.
The Tennessee Titans have been on the clock since, January 10th or whenever the last game was. They've known they had the first pick. They're going to come up. They're going to ding, and Roger Goodell will tell us that the NFL draft has started, and they'll be like, the Tennessee Titans are on the clock. Like, brother, announce the pick when you announce that the draft has started.
Yeah, right now.
They're going to take all 10 minutes on the clock to announce Cam Ward, quarterback out of Miami, who everybody's known they're going to take for 2 months.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I totally agree.
And then the Browns are going to get on the clock at number 2. The Browns at number 2. So the Browns are going to Cleveland's going to get on the clock at number 2.
Okay.
And they're going to have known Cam Ward was going 1. They're going to know their pick. And they're going to take all 10 minutes to just like, oh my God. So anyways, that's night 1.
Yeah.
And then there's night 2, which begins at 3:00 on Friday. And that's just rounds 2 and 3.
Well, do they do the same thing? Is there a green room for rounds 2 and 3?
Yeah, if the players want to stay.
I mean, that's the worst though. Like, what if you're the last guy left and you don't get taken in the first round and you're just like sad, and then you're like, you know what? I'm going back. I'm going back. I'm going to sit there again.
Was it last year? Because there have been players who will go to the green room night one and then not get their name called, and they'll just leave. They're like, I'm done. I wish I could remember who it was, but they got invited to the green room and they ended up not going until like the third round.
Oh.
And then Malik Willis, maybe?
Okay.
Quarterback the Titans drafted in 2022. Doesn't matter. Anyways, he went all 3 days. He was like, brother, I'm getting my moment. I'm walking up on the stage. I'm shaking whatever rando's hand announced the pick, and I'm getting my moment walking across the stage at the draft.
That's right.
I wish I could remember who that was, but man, it's a wild process.
Did he have to have 3 suits?
So yeah, that was part of it. He had to go buy another suit, I believe. I'm gonna look this up at the break, and I'll have all this info for you. But that's how the NFL draft goes. We're actually carrying the NFL draft on Friday, starting at 4:00 right here on ESPN 1320. Day 2 of the NFL draft. And then Saturday, it starts at 9 a.m. It's day 3, and it's rounds 4 through 7.
Oof.
So I want to do a prospect of the day. We'll do this all week.
Okay.
And I wanted to start with this player, not because I think necessarily, well, we'll talk about him with the 49ers, but we're not going deep cut here. We're taking the layup.
Okay.
For draft prospect of the day for Monday. And that's Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty, who is the consensus number 3 player on the board. It's like Travis Hunter, the wide receiver cornerback from University of Colorado.
Yep. And
then it's Abdul Carter, defensive end from Penn State, and then Ashton Jeanty at number 3. And that's pretty much a consensus. You'll see him as low as I think like 5 or 6, and then you'll see him as high as 1 or 2, depending on who it is. But consensus says number 3. And there's a lot of mock drafts. He's going all over the place in mock drafts, but he won't slide out of the top 10.
Okay.
And that's mostly just value related, right? Because teams it's Saquon Barkley.
Mm-hmm.
The New York Giants took him in the top 5. He was okay for them, dealt with some injury stuff. But then he goes to a team with a real offensive line and a real offense, and he becomes the best running back in the sport and is the offensive player of the year. And so the question for teams is, and I think the question for the Raiders is, if Ashton Jeanty falls to 6, which it looks like he might, do they take him? Is that because he could be a bona fide superstar, right?
Yeah, that's watching clips of him, bona fide superstar.
He is insane. He is absolutely an outrageous player.
Mm-hmm.
Go watch any game, even his last game, even his college football playoff game. He was not super productive, but man, still fighting through contact, getting extra yards. He had the type of game that a normal running back probably has like 40 or 50 yards, and I think he had 120.
That's crazy.
He's an incredible player. Like, he's fast, he's got great balance, he's got great vision. Just he checks every single box you want in a running back.
He's just not very big, and to watch him explode like this and to shed tacklers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a crazy thing. You're watching him just like, all right, I can get through this tackler and this tackler, and then he just outruns everybody.
Right. There's a handful of plays every game where you go, oh, he got stacked up.
Mm-hmm.
70-yard touchdown. You're like, wait, what? That was so the question for me, and this is where the running back value thing comes in. Because if you're the Raiders, you're not a running back away right now. But you had one of the worst running games in the sport last year. Is this a spot where if you're the Raiders, you go, hey, we're going to bring this guy in. He's going to change the entire complexion of our offense just by being on the field. To hell with bolstering the offensive line. To hell with figuring out quarterback. To hell with adding to the defensive line. This is just the best player available, which I think it would be for the Raiders.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why I bring him up here. Because I think it could be a situation where the Raiders are sitting there at 6, and if they have their draft board broken up into tiers or whatever, I could see Ashton Jeanty being so much higher than anyone else on their board at that point. Where they just go, hey, man, to hell with the value. To hell with this being a good running back class, and maybe we could get a quality player on day 2 or 3. We're just going to get this guy now. I wouldn't blame them.
No, I wouldn't either. I mean, I think the running back position has been devalued so much in the NFL, and guys don't get paid like they used to, and guys very rarely go in the first round. It used to be, in the first round, it'd be like quarterbacks and running backs. Like a whole bunch of guys are getting taken, at least 2 or 3 running backs in the first round.
Yeah.
Now we're down to like maybe there's one every 2 years. Sometimes, they don't go till way later. And so for me, if you can capture like lightning in a bottle and get somebody who can change the entire dynamic of your offense, like you'd be silly not to.
And it's Pete Carroll too.
Yeah.
And I know they brought in Geno Smith. Geno Smith, a good player. They have Brock Bowers there. Jacoby Myers can play. Like, is it Ashton Jeanty time? Is it you bring in this running back and now all of a sudden all the pieces fall into place offensively? Now this is going to make life easier on Geno Smith. It's going to make things easier with what we can do out of play action. I think the Raiders are right on the cusp. If this was the New York Giants, it's a no for me. If this is the who's second? Cleveland. If this is the Cleveland Browns, it's a no for me. Patriots, maybe.
Yeah, they don't value the running back position. They never have.
And I think Jacksonville's 5.
Okay.
Pretty sure Jacksonville's 5. I don't think they're going with a running back. They have Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby.
Yeah.
The Raiders at 6, though. They are right on the edge of, I don't know if they're a running back away, but also could he be this force multiplier? The way Christian McCaffrey was for the 49ers. I know it's a little bit different.
Yep.
But Christian McCaffrey came in and just sent the 49ers offense to a different level. Maybe that's what Ashton Jeanty does. And so I think the Raiders are the first team that if they took him, I wouldn't blame any team for taking him. But I think they're the first one where I'd be like, nah, like, I don't know. Or I'm sorry, they would be the first one where I'm not like, I don't know if I love this fit. And I think I kind of love the idea of Ashton Jeanty going to the Raiders.
Yeah, no, I'm here for it. Again, the Raiders are quietly like building. They do have, 2-star defensive linemen. They do have, some really nice pieces here and there. The tight end situation is clearly like, oh my gosh, you stumbled upon a star. But you have to have more weapons. And I think that if you do make a move like this, you better have a good 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th round. You better be smart. Yeah. You better fill up the positions that, make sure that you're getting your offensive line taken care of.
For sure.
Make sure you're adding the pieces. It just make you a good ball club. And that's where if you're going to take a swing at the top on a player like this, you better be right with all of the other picks.
Yeah, for sure. Casey Tucker brings us up, and this is the other reason we're talking about Ashton Jeanty today. Running back from Boise State. Of course, the NFL draft begins Thursday at 5:00. Come hang out with me and James. We're doing a NFL draft preview show from 4 to 5 out at Cache Creek, and then we are watching the draft at Cache Creek. We're hanging out with you all night. It's going to be a ton of fun. But I'm fascinated by the scenario where things get out of whack in the top 10. There's some trades and weird stuff starts happening and players start to fall, because I see the chatty out saying, man, if Ashton Jeanty's there at 10, he's going to the Bears. I agree. The Bears are a team because of what they've done with their offensive line in free agency and last offseason. Ben Johnson, the new head coach there. I could see them grabbing Ashton Jeanty and feeling really good about it. Cool. Yep. But what if he slips to 11? That puts the 49ers in a really, really odd spot. And honestly, that might benefit them just from a trade down standpoint. I think Jeanty is a good enough player that a team would be willing to come up to get him, especially ahead of the Cowboys. If there's a team in the teens that or the 20s that wants to come up to 11 and take him, because I think he could be that game-changing player, it wouldn't shock me at all. But I also kind of wonder if Kyle Shanahan would be able to resist.
Yeah, I mean, look, the 49ers are in a really weird situation with Christian McCaffrey. They pay him a ton of money.
Yes.
And when he's on the field, he's outstanding and perfectly wonderful. The problem is that, he's on the wrong side of 25 and he's approaching 30. And he already has like a litany of injuries throughout his career that have cost him major time. And you're wondering, like, he is a ticking time bomb as a player. And if you can get the next guy, because I think we can talk about Brock Purdy and his development. We can talk like the 49ers as a franchise are kind of a ticking time bomb.
A little bit.
You look at, again, your left tackle situation, like he can't play forever. And so that's going to be a problem. Kittle can't play forever. Warner can't play forever. And so, when you start to look at what's next, it's got to be, Brock Purdy and, again.
What's the next core?
Whether it's Ayuk or whether it's, like name that Pearsall, name that player that you think will start to be part of that next core. But you're already like, you need a bunch of these players. And it's tough.
I don't think they would take him. And again, I also don't think he's making it to 11, but weird things happen in the draft. And that's the scenario we're playing. If something strange happens in the top 10, he falls out. I don't think they would do it because I think they would view it as badly as Kyle Shanahan might want to take that player, because they know, okay, he might not be RB1 this year or next year, but man, beyond that, he could be, he's going to be that McCaffrey level game changer.
Yeah.
I just don't know how they could justify it. They need running back help. They need running back depth for sure, because Christian McCaffrey's injury stuff is now a major, major red flag. Isaac Orendo couldn't get through a start without getting hurt last year, and he dealt with injury stuff in college. They traded Jordan Mason. They need a running back, and a good one. It can't be random undrafted guy who is like, It has to be a player they feel really, really good about. But I don't know that you can justify, despite that need, and despite the fact that Jeanty might just be a superstar with all of their other stuff. And I've been an advocate of just get good players. Just pick good players. I know that sounds silly. I know that sounds simple. But I think we get so deep in the weeds on draft stuff that we forget sometimes to just go pick the good players.
Yeah.
And the 49ers roster is not good enough that they can start picking and choosing necessarily. Like, okay, well, hang on. There's a good wide receiver or tight end or whatever. So we're going to take him and just kind of ignore the defensive line for now. We'll figure out the defensive line. Like, no, man. They need, I'm sorry, I said that backwards. They just need good players. And again, I know that sounds so simple, but position matters way less to me, except at running back, because they've been able to get production and quality production from 6th round picks, undrafted players. Isaac Orendo, a 4th round pick.
Jordan Mason was spectacular.
Jordan Mason, undrafted guy, really good player. And they got draft capital back for him in a trade. That's where I'm like, man, you would love to have a player of that caliber, but I think you would have to pass him up, knowing where else you could bolster your roster, what your other needs are, and then what you might be able to do with one of the projected, late day 2, day 3 running backs who in a deep running back class should be able to help you right away. Whether it's like Damian Martinez from Miami or Caleb Johnson from Iowa. Like, there's just these guys who are going to be available there where, hey, you know what? You might be able to get good production out of them, and maybe you can get a really good defensive lineman.
Yep.
Maybe you can get the heir apparent to Trent Williams in the 1st round instead. It'd be really, really interesting if Ashton Jeanty gets to 11, but I don't think he's gonna. That man's going to go in the top 6. And if not, he's going 10 to the Bears.
I agree
with the chat, yes. I don't think he's getting that far. Anyways, that's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We'll have more NFL draft stuff coming for you because I have a major concern about Kyle Shanahan going into this year's draft. Major, major concern about the way the 49ers evaluate talent. We'll get into that, and then we'll continue talking about the NBA playoffs. James Ham's there. I'm Kyle Madsen. Joe Brazil's over there. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. This is ESPN 1320. It's Sacramento Sports Leader.
I'm looking at Jordan Reed's predictions on ESPN. He has Kelvin Banks Jr. going to the Niners at 11.
Yep.
Although the next pick is, how do we say it? Terry McMillan. How do you say his first name?
Tet.
Oh, got it. Yeah. That's the thing, man. They could use, again, he has Tyler Warren falling all the way to 14. Like, there are a lot of players where it is kind of, once you get to 10 or 11, it's kind of just a jumbled up mess. People are asking about Scott Perry's press conference. We have not seen word on that yet. I'm hoping that I don't have to bail on Kyle one day this week to go. But we don't have anything yet. At least not that I've seen. I'm guessing the Kings are getting him in-house and having conversations and then figuring out what they want to do. Maybe with their coaching hire. So then that's not a huge distraction. The Mark Jones stuff, like Mark Jones is under contract with somebody, and sometimes you have to do things that your bosses want or that your team partner wants you to do.
Yup. It's funny.
Yes, the Pope passed away this morning.
RIP. I would be shocked if they take Josh Simmons at number 11. Shocked, stunned, floored. In fact, I would lambaste them if they did that.
Who was it?
Josh Simmons. Patellar, left tackle from Ohio State. He tore his patellar tendon, and Dr. Nirav Pandya posted a study where it's like the return to play at full strength is like 20% on that injury. And I just don't. I want no parts of that, especially at 11. Which one? There's two running backs from Ohio State. Very different. Travion Henderson and Quinshawn Judkins. I think Henderson's better. Oh, good question.
I don't know yet.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
I'm bummed I can't find the soundbite of Jimmy Butler talking about Buddy Hield last night. I think I retweeted it, actually. Let me go find it.
I enjoyed that soundbite when you played it for me earlier.
This is, okay, here we go. Here it is. I found it. Hang on, I want to share this with everybody. This is after the Warriors game one. Oh, here we go. This is after the Warriors game one win over the Houston Rockets last night. This is Jimmy Butler talking post-game about what they have to do moving forward to continue winning games in this series.
We just got to stay in the fight, box out, have some technique, and stop patting the ball like I be doing and just go grab it with two hands. And Buddy, Stop trying to dribble the ball. I hate that.
He's so serious. This is not teammate messing with other teammate. Look at this face. This is not teammate who was just joking around with his buddy like, hey, his literal friend, his friend buddy. This isn't, hey, you messed up. You dribbled it up. Because as everybody listening to this program knows and has experience with Buddy Hield playing basketball, good for 2 to 6. What the hell was that? Plays a game where you're just not quite sure exactly what was going on. And he did that a couple times last night. Like threw a bad lob, had a couple, just dribbled the ball out of bounds a couple times. Jimmy Butler is so fed up.
It's really, really difficult to be Buddy Hield's teammate sometimes. And it's not that he's an incredibly hard worker. He's funny. He's lighthearted. He brings some levity to the room. But at the end of the day, there are things that he does on a basketball court that are so incredibly frustrating. I had a coach tell me, it's like I sit here and I walk through, we have a last second play and I build out the entire play. We go to break the huddle and like there's 4 seconds left on the clock. And before we can even inbounds the ball, Buddy has run to every single one of his teammates that are on the court and stressed them out to a level that you cannot just like, don't screw it up. Don't screw it up. Like he literally will go around to every single teammate and stress them out. And so whatever happens in that final play, you just throw your arms up like, I don't know what to do. Like, you got to put him on the court because he can hit the 3, but at the same time, man.
That is the ultimate problem here. Is, well, for Golden State, he's not even hitting shots right now. To the point, we've reached now in the Buddy cycle, we've reached the why is this guy on the court? Jonathan Kuminga can't get minutes, but Buddy Hield can. Kind of thing. If he's not making shots, what's he doing on the court? But you still have to respect his shooting if you're the opponent.
Yeah, he's one of the greatest shooters in the history of the NBA.
Because from a statistical perspective, you're right. When he's on the floor, you have to guard him. And on a team that frequently runs out Gary Payton II, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler together, guys you absolutely do not have to guard on the perimeter. Having Buddy Hield out there makes just a little bit of difference, right? But man, I don't know how like defensively he's pretty good last night. But the 3 plays where you're just face palming.
Yeah.
It's really tough to deal with. And I think that clip from Jimmy Butler, the fact that he's not laughing, he's not smiling, he didn't even like deadpan it and then kind of smirk. He was dead serious. Buddy Hield is not to dribble the basketball.
At all, ever.
I don't think you, me, Joe, or anyone in the chatty house, anybody listening on 1320 AM, anybody listening on the free Odyssey app, I don't think anyone disagrees.
If I asked you, where do you think Buddy Hield ranks all time in made 3-pointers? Where would you put him?
Oh, man. All time in made 3s. He's got to be top 20 by now, right?
Yes.
13th.
A little high. He is 16th.
Wow.
At 2,127. Like if he plays another 2 seasons, which he will, even though he could, it's possible he's 53. Like he could easily be top 5. Again, like Paul Pierce is retired right above him. He's only, this is crazy. Buddy is only, I don't know what it is, 64 3-pointers behind Kevin Durant.
Jeez.
Kevin Durant, like right there.
That's insane.
He'll pass Kyle Lowry, but then you have a bunch of retired players. So Jamal Crawford, Jason Terry, Vince Carter are like 10, 11, 12. He'll pass those guys next season without any problem. Kyle Korver, number 8, he'll get him in. Maybe it'll take a season and a half to get to Kyle Korver at number 8. But like Buddy Hield easily can surpass Reggie Miller in made 3-pointers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
Buddy Hield 19th in attempts, by the way. I saw somebody say he's top 3. He's 19th in attempts.
Yeah.
Like he's pretty efficient, man.
He's a great 3-point shooter.
And that's it.
Yeah, you got to remember, like, what he led. He had more 3-pointers in rookie season than Dame had the record. So, but after 2 years, after 3 years, after 4 years, I think after 5 years, Buddy Hield had more 3-pointers through each of those years of his career than anyone else in the history of the game.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Just trying to find a role for him is a little bit tough.
Yeah. A little bit tough. Just have him watch some tape of Klay Thompson. Just saying. Don't dribble. See where he scored 62 points with dribbling 12 times?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, stop trying so hard, man.
Catch and shoot.
There's a very specific role for you. Just do that role and you're good. And hopefully I saw somebody in the chat say, why wouldn't you say that to him privately? Why do you need to say that publicly? And I think it's because they've probably said it privately and he continues to do the wrong thing. So now they're trying public shaming instead.
Yeah.
It's the only explanation I've got.
Facts.
And also the back and forth between Jimmy Butler and Buddy Hield has been like jokey jokes to this point.
Yeah.
Like they're like messing with each other. And that felt like, dog, don't do that anymore.
Yeah. Stop. Yeah. Buddy's a career 39.7% shooter from 3. I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah, man. A good shooter. We got NBA awards finalists yesterday before I think it was before Warriors Rockets, or was it before the second game? It doesn't matter. They announced the finalists.
Spammed
yesterday.
My inbox.
Anything interesting here? I'm just going to read them out. Most improved: Cade Cunningham, Dyson Daniels, Ivica Zubac.
No, that makes sense.
That feels, and I think it's probably that order.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that Cade Cunningham can win this award though.
No, I'm with you.
It feels like it's become the award because I believe the spirit of this award is for the guys like Ty Jerome, who were out of the NBA, not in a rotation, and now all of a sudden they're carrying the Cavs to a Game 1 victory.
Mm-hmm.
And we're really, really good all year. That's kind of the spirit of the award for me. Not, hey, Cade Cunningham, who was the number 1 overall pick and everyone thinks he's awesome, did the normal ascension that superstars kind of do, where he went from good to like all-star great player.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, that just misses the spirit of the award. Spirit of the award for me.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm giving it to Ivica Zubac.
I would too. Out of these 3,
yeah,
because he was a guy, and again, he was a guy who was just like, okay, he's just a dude. Like he's just meh, he's fine. He's a serviceable NBA center.
Mm-hmm.
To this just powerhouse. Defensively, he's really good. Offensively, he knows exactly where to be at all times. Good screen setter. Great hands, catches lobs. He got some good touch inside. And now he's averaging a double-double every night, and he's awesome for the Clippers.
Yep.
That he would get my vote as well. Defensive player of the year, Dyson Daniels also on this list with Draymond Green and Evan Mobley. It's got to be Evan Mobley. It has to be Evan Mobley.
It's probably going to be Evan Mobley. I think I would go Dyson Daniels just because I'm watching. I mean, I don't know that we've seen guys average 3 steals per game.
It's crazy.
That is absolutely crazy. The crazy thing is, Jaren Jackson Jr. is probably like looking around like, what the heck just happened? How did Draymond did Draymond just like, did he get the graphic and remove my picture and put in his own?
Apparently.
Like, what in the, that's tough. That's a tough world.
You know what? I also hope Dyson Daniels wins it because I would like to see a perimeter guy win this award.
Yeah.
Instead of just giving it to a center. Although Evan Mobley is a good all-around defender, but I'd love to see a perimeter guy win it. Clutch player of the year, I got nothing. Jalen Brunson, Anthony Edwards, and Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I don't either. You know, like I know that Jokic in the clutch, you just can't stop him.
It's ridiculous.
It is just ridiculous. When he decides to like score like 5 of the final 7 baskets, you're just like, there's nothing you can do to stop him.
Nope. 6th man of the year, Malik Beasley, Ty Jerome, and Peyton Pritchard. I'd be surprised if it's anybody other than Pritchard. Although Ty Jerome gave it a run, man.
Yep.
Ty Jerome had a really, really good year. So did Malik Beasley. You know, Malik Beasley led the league and made threes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
It's ridiculous. And then we had Rookie of the Year, Stephon Castle, Zachary Resache, and Jalen Wells. I think Stephon Castle will win it. I think Jalen Wells should win it.
I'm intrigued because I think Shea has had like a great finish, and I would actually look at him.
Okay.
I mean,
Jalen Wells just stepped on the floor day one and was a contributor on a good team.
No, that's true.
And that's what stands out to me. I know his numbers may not be there. I didn't look up because
he's averaging 12.6 points, 3.6 rebounds, 1.2 assists.
And he was awesome defensively.
Shea.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And Shea shot 45.8 from the field and 35.5 from three. He really did like quietly have a spectacular finish to the season. Jalen Wells averaged 10.4 points, 3.4 rebounds, shot 42.5 from the field and 35.2 from three. And, again, he played on a better team, but I don't think like leaps and bounds better. Like still in the same sort of grouping of teams, play-in /8 seed teams. But yeah, I think Wells has a great season, plus he's a Sacramento kid. He played 79 games, and it hurt them a lot when he didn't play in the final game.
Yeah. I think that killed them.
Yeah.
Coach of the year, Kenny Atkinson, JB Bickerstaff, Ime Udoka. I don't think there's any surprises there. I bet Kenny Atkinson wins it.
Yeah. I think it's hands down.
JB Bickerstaff is awesome though. Yeah. Dude just hangs around, just takes these young teams. He's just gets you kind of where you need to go.
Yeah, he's always a bridesmaid, never a bride for years and years, where he's just always the interim head coach. Good for him.
Last one is MVP, Shea and Jokic with Giannis. And we'll see how that shakes out.
I'm surprised they expanded the graphic to include a third person, but
it was Giannis was the first name they said too when they announced it on TNT.
Yeah.
It's like Giannis, like, all right, sure. Get to the good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's Shea.
It's got to be Shea.
Yeah.
When you win 18 more games than the next guy, that has to be the tiebreaker.
Yes.
Like, that's it. That's it for me. Jokic was unbelievable. Shea was unbelievable. Their numbers are all really, really close. Just kind of across the board when you start looking at advanced numbers and stuff. And then the wins have to matter at least a little bit. And when you have 18 more of them, that's got to be the tiebreaker. And it is for me.
Yep. And I think the other thing that Shea has an advantage is that while all of his players around him are great role players, there's not one big name. I mean, even Jalen Williams, they've got two of them. I mean, he doesn't even stand out on his own team as a guy with his own individual name. There's two guys named Jalen Williams. And I just think that the way that the Thunder are constructed, where he's such the centerpiece, it's going to be really difficult for him to lose this one.
We'll have some Sacramento Kings talk coming up for you. We'll have a $500, your first chance to enter to win $500. We're giving away $500 every day this week and every day next week, Monday through Friday, right here on the Insiders. We'll give you a keyword coming up next. And then I got a call from an agent last week. And it was a fascinating conversation.
I'm in.
I would like to tell you all about it. That's James Ham. That's Joe Brazil. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insiders, and we're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. This is ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader.
Clear.
Yeah, it feels like on the podcast circuit, a lot of people have been saying they voted for Jokic.
Yeah, I told you we were at a table with Amick and the rest of Sacramento media, and he kind of went around the room and he said, again, this was maybe a month ago though, 3 weeks probably. He was like, I think Jokic still has a really good shot because he's like, there a couple of things. Number one, they didn't give it to him the 1 year out of spite almost because he hadn't won a title, and then he won a title that year. Then they felt like idiots. So then he got it the next year. And they realized that he should be a 4-time MVP. And not only that, but this year he's averaging a triple-double. And it's only happened like 6 times in NBA history. And yeah, Shea's been great, but, like he maybe hasn't had to deal with the injuries that the Nuggets have. I don't know.
I think.
Yeah.
All right, PER is Jokic 32 Shea 30.7.
Mm-hmm.
Offensive win shares, Jokic 12.7 to 11.9. Defensive win shares, Shea 4.8 to 3.8.
Okay.
Total win shares, Shea 16.7 to 16.4.
That's both of those numbers are off the charts.
Insane. 16.7, 16.4. Jared Allen is number 3 at 11.6. Giannis 11.5.
How far down is Sabonis?
The space between I'm sorry, Zubats is 3 at 11.7. The space between Jokic and Zubats is the same as the space. What is that? 4.7 is the same as the space between Zubats and Luke Cornett. From a win shares perspective, that's crazy. Where's Domas? Domas finished 9th.
Okay.
10.1. Oh, I'm sorry. Tied for 7th with Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns. Win shares per 48. Shea 0.309 to Jokic 0.307. Offensive box plus minus. Jokic 9.9 to 8.9. Defensive box plus minus. Jokic 3.3. Shea 2.6.
Interesting.
Hour number 2, that's James Ham, I'm Kyle Madsen, Joe Brazil behind the glass. We are sponsored by Jiffy Lube. Oops. Joe, I'll fix the thing that I missed. That's my bad. That's James, Kyle, you know that. ESPN 1320 AM on your radio dial, youtube.com/ESPN 1320, twitch.tv/ESPN 1320. We're just talking about the NBA MVP stuff at the break. I maintain that the only wrong answer is that there's a definite right answer between Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
Whichever one. I hear the arguments for both. I know that's bad radio. I know that I'm supposed to stand on the table and vehemently have an opinion one way or the other. My opinion is that Shea should win it because his team won 18 more games, and I think that has to matter at least a small amount.
Mm-hmm.
But if Jokic wins it, I'm not going to come in here and be like, wow, what an injustice. He was unbelievable.
Yeah, he was. I do think that there's always going to be voter fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also this thing that they don't like to give away a 4th MVP to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've got to be super special. And I also don't think that for whatever reason that Nikola Jokic is still considered how great he is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people just overlook how great he is.
Mm-hmm.
When you think of the top players in the NBA, he wins the MVP, but you don't always name him in the top 5 players in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that that's, you know, when it's all said and done, he's probably going to be a top 10 player ever.
I agree.
And I just don't think he gets that respect. And like, I'm here for him to rack up another MVP, but I also get it because I've always been someone who believes in the best player on the best team.
Yeah, they won 68 games. That's so many games in the West.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, you got to remember last year what the Celtics finished a full like 12 games above anyone else in the Eastern Conference. And Jason Tatum was what, 3rd, 4th, 5th in MVP balloting.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not Tatum wasn't the league's leading scorer,
mm-hmm.
but still he was the best player on the best team. So the argument could be made that the best player on the best team doesn't win. It's got to be the best player on a really, really good team, but the best statistical player.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I think Jokic is right there. It's like so
incredibly
difficult to.
I'm so happy I don't have I would probably vote for Giannis just to avoid having to make a decision between SGA and Jokic.
I mean, even
I'm
this
serious.
year,
Like, I don't know, man.
this year, it's kind of, they said the same thing about Sabonis. Oh, you don't shoot enough threes. You're not a good enough 3-point shooter.
Mm-hmm.
So Jokic shoots 41.7% on 4.7 attempts per game. Almost 5 attempts per game. Like, how are you supposed to stop him?
Do you buy into any of the on-off stuff where the Nuggets are the worst team in the league from a net rating perspective when Jokic is off the floor?
Yeah, I do. Because
I think that's the key argument to me. If you're talking value,
I think it's tough though, because on-off, if you want to say, okay, when he goes off the court, it's like, well, okay, first of all, then go get a center that plays like him.
Sure.
To keep running continuity. I mean, what you can't do is like DeAndre Jordan just isn't a good center anymore at all. Like, he's not a good NBA player. He's just like so far past his prime. And so when I look at, the on-off splits, it's like, is it because Jokic is so great, or is it because his replacement is so bad, or is it because a combination of the two? And then, hey, let's add in this element that the guy that you're replacing him with is like a true rim runner. He's not a centerpiece like Domas. And that's where, again, I think we could look at what Domas's, on-off splits look like in the first half of the season versus the second half of the final 25, 30 games. And it might be like, oh, well, he wasn't nearly as valuable in the second half of the season. Like, either that or Jonas Valanciunas is just way better than what you had before. And so it balances out. Sure. So I do think that, like, even the on-off stuff, it's really difficult because of the depth of the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
They had all this depth, and then all of a sudden, like,
gone.
piece by piece, they've lost. And it just makes it really difficult to, like, judge a second unit on a team.
James Ham's there. I'm Kyle Madsen. Jiffy Lube sponsors the show. So I get this. I'm going to try and leave names out of this. It won't be hard to deduce if you follow my work at NinersWire.com.
Okay.
But I get a call. an Instagram message from somebody who said, hey.
Slid into your DMs.
Slid into my DMs and said, hey. And I don't say this because I'm special. I say this because it's the first time I've had this happen. I understand agents are talking to everyone all the time. So says, hey, I'm not really on social media, but I read what you wrote and I want to present, I want you to write about my client, write about this guy.
Okay.
Call me. I don't really do social media. So shoot me a text, give me a call. So I give this guy a call. Because, I don't know, see what he's talking about. And our conversation ended up being, he goes, I need 3 minutes of your time. And I was like, cool, man. I'm driving home. I got an hour and a half. We had a 25-minute long conversation, and I think I said probably 10 words.
Oh.
And my man was like, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. This guy has... And just started blowing smoke up my ass for 20 minutes.
Oh,
it was. He's like, and you don't even have to believe me. You can talk to this guy who was an ex-coach, or this guy who was an ex-coach. You can talk to this guy who coached him at this thing, or this guy who coached him at this thing. It's just he's the best. And I just gave me right after telling me he wasn't going to do the whole agent spiel rundown thing.
Yep,
gives me the whole agent spiel rundown thing.
That's tough.
And I understand now how it happens that during draft season we get the, hey, Team X is interested in player Y. Team X, big time interest in player Y. Met with him this many times at this many college all-star bowl things.
Yep.
Oh, man, they love him. They really love him. Oh, man, the Packers love this kid. One of their scouts told me he has upside to be the best player in this class at his position. I'm sorry. I follow the draft very closely, and I have never heard of this person. And he has the upside to be what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
Like, what do we do? Look, I'm not trying to do. I look. I get that I'm the guy's agent, but I'm not here to lie to you, man. All right, talk. You make a couple other phone calls, and you go, okay, so you wrote about the guy, but I did not.
No,
I do my own assessment of what I think he's good and bad at.
That's intriguing. I remember there was a prospect who came through, and another reporter got called like this from an agent, and not only did he convince him that like he was going to be a star, but also that he could play, even though he was a center, could play the 4 or even the 3, and that you could use him as a 3. And
was this Marvin Bagley?
No. Marvin Bagley's people would never have to, because he's too high, you know. But yeah, it was like, hey, I'm like, have you watched any of his tape? Like, there's no way he's a 3. In the same way that there was no way Jason Thompson was ever a 3 when the Kings tried that.
Yeah.
It was like that bad, maybe a little bit worse, because I don't even think the dude could play the 4.
Oof.
And you just kept like, hey, you keep spouting these things and an agent told you, and like, you might want to have an original thought there yourself, because that player is not matching what you're saying at all. Like,
that's tough.
I think we all have our own view of our own way of deciphering the draft.
Yeah,
you know?
No doubt. I talked to a person who's covered the 49ers for a long time, and they said the most difficult part of draft season is not like trying to be right or trying to correctly predict. Like that's kind of a fun thing to do. But he said the hardest part is because when you're a prominent writer who covers a team, like I'm just some dude, I'm just a blogger, right? But when you've covered the team for a long time, like some of these guys on the beat have, they were saying that some of the most difficult part is figuring out when an agent calls you and tells you, hey, A, B, C, and X, Y, and Z, what is real, what's not. So now you're making other calls, and some guys are just lying all the time, so you don't take anything they say into account. But then there's other times where now you got to reach out to the team, and now you're checking with, and just the entire process is sussing out who's lying to you and who's not, and what information are we going to run with publicly and what are we not.
No, totally.
That sounds awful.
Yeah.
Because I want to believe everybody. I want to see the best in everyone. When that agent calls me and he goes, hey, I'm going to tell you about this kid who's going to be the best player in his position in his class. Is going to be awesome. Here, let me tell you all about him. My instinct as a person is to go, wow, what a nice guy to call me and let me know about this guy. Like, wow, that's so kind. But I know now.
Yeah, man. I like doing this for as long as you have. I try to avoid agents. Like, I talk to a handful of agents.
For sure, of course.
But it's more like we have like an information exchange.
Yes.
And like I've said this before, like you don't have like the idea of sources. Sources they're just relationships that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's like with a team or with an agent or with a coach or with a player, like whatever it is, like I think that's how you develop sources, is just by having like honest conversations, back and forth conversations. But I don't know that pitching somebody like that,
it was wild.
That's tough.
It was wild. Just telling me, hey, this thing that you're worried I'm going to do, I'm not going to do it. And then it doesn't.
Yeah.
All right, man. Anyways. Got to talk to some good people, though, reaching out, trying to suss out what was real and what was not. And like I said, I did my own research.
You always have to. Yeah.
Anyways, we'll talk Kings coming up here in a bit. We got more NBA playoffs, but it's really clear in the postseason how much work the Kings have to do. And we'll talk about that next. But right now, we got to give stuff away. Or excuse me, we're going to give you a keyword so you can enter it at ESPN1320.com. So you can enter to win $500. This is the Jump Shot Jackpot giveaway, courtesy of Folsom Lake Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, home of the big guy, Vince Bloom. Here is your first keyword. We're giving you a keyword. You can enter this at ESPN1320.com. That's one entry. D'Lo and KC will give you a keyword later that you can enter to try and enter to win again. So you can 2 opportunities to enter to win today's $500. The keyword is, I was going to drum roll, but I'm not. Shot. 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 Shot.
Shot.
Mm-hmm. Enter that at ESPN1320.com and you'll be entered to win $500 courtesy of Folsom Lake Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, home of the big guy, Vince Bloom. Shot.
All right.
SHOT. And then D'Lo and Casey will have another word. You can enter again 2 chances to win $500 today. We'll have another keyword for you tomorrow, all the way through this week, all the way through next week. Again, $500 a day. The jump shot jackpot giveaway, courtesy of Folsom Lake Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, home of the big guy, Vince Bloom. I think I covered all that. I get all that?
Yeah.
Cover everything?
You did good? You did good.
All right. Very good. Hopefully everybody else does good. We would love to see some winners come from our program. All right. We'll talk Kings next. The NBA playoffs are telling us exactly how far the Kings have to go. How do they do that? We'll have that conversation all summer, but we'll start it next. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Joe Brazil's rocking with us. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube here on ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports Center. Joe, I will get Underdog in the next segment, and then I will email who I need to email and let them know.
Do you see this line from Nico Harrison? I didn't know Luka was important to the fan base. I didn't know quite to this level.
Why would you say that out loud? Dog, what?
Yeah. That's trouble.
I'll be right back.
What's going on, everybody? Yeah, but Dirk, why would, I don't know why the Kings would want to get on the Dillon Brooks bandwagon. What do we got? We did have some. Tom L. My bold off-season prediction. Number one, Monty McNair will get fired. Wait, that already happened. I think, if I'm assessing this, although again, Scott Perry's a totally different dude and has shown, you can find plenty of clips where he says how much he loves DeMar DeRozan and how much he does not so much love Zach LaVine. I think that DeMar DeRozan gets traded this offseason. And I don't know that it's that bold, but I do think he does. So that's my bold prediction. The Kings don't have a draft pick. I'm not going to make a prediction that the Kings move into the top 4 of the draft and get to keep their pick. Although there was a chance. It's just it fell apart when when Memphis beat Dallas. Cool Raul. Sure. Yeah. I would consider that. But I would also say in a perfect world, probably not, because I think the Kings, they're going to have to find a point guard for sure. But I also think that they're going to have to find a small forward. For some reason, the Kings have more needs now than they did before. It's kind of weird. But I probably would not do that. I would probably wait for a different deal with a younger forward. Maybe you have to use DeMar to get the point guard that you need, but if that's the case, what are you going to have to give up to get the small forward that you need? Hey, Davion has been amazing.
He's been really good.
Yeah.
I watched him brick a 3 and smoke 2 layups in a game, and I don't think I've seen him miss since.
Yeah. We can talk about that.
Okay.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Yeah, the NBA playoffs have started.
Yeah.
And I'm still ice cold with my underdog picks. Holy smokes. Thankfully, they've got their extender promo going on. So you get a 40% profit boost for game 1. Hopefully you use that because then you get a 50% profit boost token for game 2. So I'll be using that and hopefully putting together a winning lineup because I'm going to be making lineups all like as long as there's basketball on, your boy's going to have a lineup out.
Okay.
And Underdog doesn't just have NBA. They've got baseball. They've got all your favorite leagues, all your favorite players, hockey. They got esports. There's so many things to choose from with their pick'em game. And it's a ton of fun. And I hope you join me. I don't have my lineup locked in just yet because when I'm ice cold, I actually have to go do some research and stuff. And I have not done that yet, but I will have a lineup. If you want to know where I wind up, you can just hit me up on Twitter or Blue Sky or whatever. And I will happily let you know what my lineup looks like. But go in there, mess around, and build your own. Download the Underdog app and sign up with promo code KyleM to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code KyleM, KYLEM. Kyle M. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/extend.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncbgambling.org. Details? Why did I say that like that? I have never said details in my life. That was very odd.
Not
I don't
details?
like that. Yeah, details. See, details. Details?
Still right, though.
He's
It's not
Like,
wrong.
it's not wrong.
It's
Just
not wrong.
churching it up.
Just for details. The hell are you? Anyways. You're talking about Davion Mitchell at the break. Holy smokes. Davion Mitchell's hooping, bro.
Yeah, this is one of those things where, we get into this funny thing, especially D'Lo and Casey, where they just like, oh, James hates that player, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I constantly try to tell people it's not that I don't like the player.
Mm-hmm.
It's that I do not like the fit of the player where he's at.
Yep.
Now, Davion Mitchell on the 2024-25 Kings, I might actually like because all of a sudden they're an ISO team. And Davion Mitchell probably would fit in this crazy, gummed up mess of an offense that the Sacramento Kings had this year. But there was always going to be a pathway. I kept saying Davion Mitchell is an NBA player. Davion Mitchell is an elite defensive player. And not only that, but in the right situation, he could be a starting point guard. I thought it might be Toronto, but that went which way it went. But to see him step up and to get this sort of notoriety and play in Miami, I'm super excited for him. Again, he's a hard worker. And the thing is that you're hoping that he finds success, whether it's in Sacramento or it's elsewhere. Because, these guys, they work. This is their livelihood and they work their butts off to try to be great. And I always thought that Davion had that in him to be a very, very good NBA player. I just knew it wasn't going to be in Sacramento because his style of play and the Kings style of play just totally different.
Yeah, and like you said, it would have worked better this year.
Yeah,
they would have loved to have Davion Mitchell this year. But I also think there's something to, fit and then player development and team culture and all that. Like all of that. Davion Mitchell he's just a Miami Heat player.
He's empowered.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So he goes in their playoff game. Well, of course, he hit a bunch of threes to close out the Hawks in overtime of the play-in game to punch Miami's ticket to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And then they lost by 21 in a game where Cleveland pulled away late. But he goes 8 of 12 from the field, 2 of 3 from beyond the arc, 4 rebounds, 9 assists. He scored 18 points. Man.
Yeah.
It's so funny. There's no, I'm trying to find his stats from the play-in game, but it just doesn't exist on Basketball Reference.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too. Like, I'm going to pull up something from the chat. Cap says Mike Brown's corner Davion and pretty much anyone. First of all, like everyone in Sacramento, everyone kept asking for length and athleticism, and you went out and you got Davion Mitchell, who doesn't have length or athleticism. Like, can he play ball? Yeah, he can play ball
vertically.
Yeah. He's not like a leaper. He might be able to dunk in a perfect situation. Like he's a linebacker playing in the NBA, right? So like, I don't think Mike Brown did anything wrong with Davion Mitchell. The fact is the Kings run a specific style of offense when Davion was here. And it's this motion. It's this, you remember the half-second rule. You have a half second to make a decision whether you're going to shoot or whether you're going to move it.
Right.
That's not Davion Mitchell. That's just not who he is as a player, and it's never going to be who he is as a player. The Miami Heat play a different style of basketball, and it works for his style. And so, like, I think Keegan Murray is built for Mike Brown's style, or Jay Triano's offensive set. Again, Domantas Sabonis. Like, you're building a team around that, but the problem is that Davion just doesn't fit with those pieces. And so, yeah, I'm happy the guy found a perfect niche for him, because that's what it seems like.
I'm not. I hate the hindsight of there are times. Luka Doncic, trading Luka is a bad move. That is not a good move.
Nope.
Nobody's sane is going to argue otherwise, right? But I'm not. The Davion Mitchell thing doesn't jump out to me, because it's like, wow, what a mistake by the Kings letting this guy walk. Like, look at what he's averaging now, and he's developing in this and that. To me, that's not the discussion. The move they made to just kind of get rid of him was weird.
Yeah, with Sasha. Yeah. I mean, that move in itself ends up being like one of the worst moves at this franchise. Just like, if you pull back and you look, you're like, okay, why did you waste 3 second round picks right here? Like that? Why did you do that? Yeah. Like, what was the logic behind each of those moves?
Yeah.
Why did you give up 2? Because Davion for McDaniel would have worked straight up.
Jaden McDaniels?
Yeah, Jaden McDaniel. Yeah, I believe. Yeah.
Jalen?
That would no.
The McDaniels who's not on the Timberwolves.
Yes. It's Jaden.
Jaden. Okay, for Jaden.
No, for Jalen.
Oh, boy.
My bad.
Boy.
It's Jalen. Yeah. So like, look, that move in itself, if that's what you wanted to do, just to move off so you didn't have an extra year of Davion, that would have been one thing. But the adding Sasha in there, having him opt out, and then giving up 2 second-round picks, the problem that they have is when you compounded that by then taking Jalen McDaniels and trading him to the Spurs and adding another second-round pick in that.
To salary dump him.
To salary dump him, which, again, you could have just stretch provision. You could have waived him, and then stretch provision is $4 million salary over a 3-year period. He would have been a league minimum salary every year on your cap. When the salary cap goes up 18 million or 17 million this year, it would have looked like nothing.
It's insane.
But instead, you gave up a second-round pick, which has a bunch of value. So
wild.
Anyway,
so that's the issue. Like, that to me, I don't watch Davion Mitchell playing well and go, wow, what a nightmare. The Kings just messed up big time.
Yep.
I mean, I know it turns out they could have used him this year, especially after Malik Monk went down.
Yeah.
And they didn't really have a point guard. So you would have liked to have him for sure. But I don't know. I just, of all the things the front office did, that the mechanics of the move were terrible.
Yes.
But I don't think they would have gotten this version of Davion Mitchell necessarily in Sacramento.
Well, I don't think one way or another, Davion Mitchell wasn't going to be part of the Sacramento Kings this season. Like, so,
what do you mean?
Like, they were going to trade him one way or another.
I see.
Yeah.
They were just kind of done with the experiment.
Yeah. They just understood that, like, it's a square peg in a round hole. And, like, it doesn't work. And that's okay. Like, I think that realizing that, like, I think the worst thing for NBA players is this. It's when you get into the league and you think you're going to be the next Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant, and then you fight and fight and fight to still be that, like, 4 or 5 years in, because then if you do that, you're out of the league. Like, you're done.
Yep.
So that's where, like, accepting a role is, like, the biggest thing for a young player.
Yep.
If you can, and you can get better in that role, and you can start to show that you can do more, and talk about, like, Jalen McDaniels. We talked about it earlier before we were on the air. Man, Jalen McDaniels is awesome. And I think he's got way more. I think he's more Mikal Bridges than he is, like, a lot of these other players that you think are going to develop. He just doesn't get an opportunity to shoot the ball enough to be great. And I think there's an opportunity, just as in the same way that Mikal Bridges early in his career, he looked good, but he didn't look great.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he averages 24.5 or something one season. You're like, oh, I didn't know you had that in you.
Yeah.
I think Jalen McDaniels is the same thing. But I think the other, to flip this around, the biggest thing for a front office is to admit when you made a mistake.
Yeah.
And move off of that mistake as quickly as possible. And if there's one thing I will give the Kings, like when Thomas Robinson was a mistake, the Kings were like, oh my gosh, this is a mistake, and got rid of him, like, I think at the trade deadline, either the trade deadline or like early in the summer. And we're talking the 5th overall pick, right? When Nick Stauskas wasn't good, the Kings that offseason were like, oh no, we're done with this. And they moved on from him. So I think the Kings have at least done that. They've looked at players and said, okay, well, this isn't it. And they move away from them, which is a good thing, because I think a lot of teams, like, they just get so pot committed on a player that never develops.
Sure.
And they keep paying them because they're worried that they're going to miss out on something.
Yep.
And the Kings have shown that that's not who they are.
Yep. Yeah, no doubt. That's James Ham. Joe Brazil's behind the glass. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insiders. We are sponsored by Jiffy Lube. Hanging out with you for another half hour. Then we'll hand it off to D'Lo and KC. Tom Haberstroh, on his Substack, on his newsletter, had a really, really interesting stat that I loved. And I think it's part of the reason that despite the blowouts, I really enjoyed the game ones. And he tracked the free throw attempts per game. Last season in the playoffs, it was 22 free throw attempts per game, which was down. It's a low number. This season, the game ones featured 18.5 free throw attempts per game on average. Total. It is such a better product when that happens. So much better.
I agree.
Like, the games flow more, there's more action, and yeah, is it really, really physical to the point that you have a Warriors Rockets 95-85 was the final. Those dudes were just beating the hell out of each other for 48 minutes, and I think they shot a combined 25 free throws, was it? I'm going to go look.
Yeah.
It's just a better game. It's a better sport.
I absolutely loved how the officiating changed after the All-Star break last season. I was hoping that they were going to allow that, either do it again, like after the All-Star break.
Right. 34 free throw attempts in Warriors Rockets. Go ahead.
Okay. Or just like let this be what basketball is like. I hate the touch foul.
It's the worst thing, dude. It's the very, very worst thing, especially because everybody gets officiated differently, right?
Yep.
Like, I get that it's a tough sport to officiate, and that's why I try really hard to not harp on the officials. But it's like when we watch, just to keep it local here in Sacramento, when we watch Domantas Sabonis get whacked in the head going up for a layup, he misses the layup, there's no call. And then the opposing team's point guard drives past Keon, and Keon gets his wrist on the way by, and it's like, oh, whistle.
Yeah.
Like that's just not fun. That's killing the sport. That's killing the vibe right now. Like, let there be some flow to the game.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I was watching a lot of the Knicks game, and watching Jalen Brunson just like barrel into defenders and drop his shoulder right into their chest and then bounce off and then yell at the officials and look at the official dirty every time. It's like, hey man, first of all, he didn't reach, and you're allowed to defend. You're allowed to have space. And the way that he goes about his business, I'm glad they're not calling fouls on that. I don't want to watch with Kobe White, like, fling his hair all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, like every single time you touch him, he throws his hair, and you're like, man, that's not a foul. Just because you're like, did he really make your head move? Like, what are we doing here? Like, I hate the Trae Young step in front and stop.
Yep.
The stop short move.
I blame James Harden for the head throwback thing.
Yeah.
He's the worst at that. Where he'll be like in a triple threat position, and the defender will like reach across to kind of poke at the ball. He just snaps his head back and gets a foul. I was like, it's nowhere near his face.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I want to get the Haberstroh stat right because I misread it. It's free throw attempts per 100 possessions.
Oh, okay.
18.5 per team. That is down from 22 last year. It got as high as, what year was this? 94, 95, 32.7 free throws per 100 possessions in the playoffs.
Oh, no.
That is so many free throws.
That's like the Shaq era.
Yes.
Like, everyone has to foul Shaq. You had to have 3 centers, all of which, are locked and loaded with their 6 fouls.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the Kings did.
You had to.
Yeah. It was like Divac, you throw a little Weber at him, then you hit him with Scott Pollard. Then it's like, hey, Lawrence Funderburk. And Lawrence like, I don't want any of that.
Yeah, you got to go eat some fouls.
Get out there, Lawrence, now.
You got fouls to give, Lawrence.
I'm just a guy who scores around the rim. Like, no, you get out there and get beat up by Shaq. Yeah.
It was just a better product, man. Like people can complain about 3-point shots all they want. 3-pointers are not the problem. I promise you that 3-point shots are not the problem. The problem is guys like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, James Harden, Trae Young, Jimmy Butler. Their game is derived around, hey, what can I do to draw contact and get to the free throw line? Mm-hmm. I think there are some guys, I know Shai kind of foul grifts, but there are just players who, and I think Shai is kind of one of these guys where it's a little grifty sometimes, but then he's just really good at kind of contorting his body and getting to angles and putting defenders in tough spots where they're just going to foul him. And I think it's so much better when the refs give the defender the benefit of the doubt. Like let the defender get away with something, because if you don't, you're going to have a parade to the free throw line. Every game's going to be in the 130s. The games are going to grind to a halt. They're going to take forever. The Warriors-Rockets game was a rock fight last night.
Yeah.
It was a 95-85 final. 180 total points got scored in an NBA game in 2025. But there was flow. It didn't have great pace, but it wasn't, oh, all right, here we go, another trip to the line. Oh, okay, another foul, another trip to the line on the other end. It was an enjoyable product, and I think that was the case for all the games. So I hope the NBA continues officiating things this way, because it is a much, much better watch.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I just want to see good basketball. And,
that's it, man.
It makes you wonder, too, will the fact that Shai averages like 8.8 free throw attempts per game versus Jokic at 2.4, whether the foul grifting will be part of the conversation. Because it's like, yeah, you average 32.7 points per game, but, is that really all that different than the 29.6 that Jokic added when we consider the fouls and all that stuff?
Yeah.
I don't know. Stuff.
Do you know who sneaky shoots a ton of free throws? And I get why. Is Giannis.
Well, yeah.
Free throw attempt rate, which is free throw attempts per field goal attempt.
Mm-hmm.
Mason Plumlee is number 1 at 63.4, which makes sense. Number 2 is Steven Adams, which again makes sense because he's just not shooting a lot of field goals.
Yep.
But he's probably going to get fouled quite a bit. 4th is Rudy Gobert. 5th is Adem Bona.
Oh.
Giannis is 3rd at 53.6. Giannis shoots so many shots.
He's led the league in free throw attempts the last 3 seasons. And the reason why he gets fouled so much, realistically, besides the fact that he is a Greek freak, is that he only shoots 61.7%.
Yep. He has averaged since the 2018-19 season, 10.6 free throw attempts per game. That's insane. That's so many.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But like you said, he's only going to make 6 of them.
Yeah.
So you take it, try and slow him down a little
10.6 this season attempts, 6.5 makes. Oof.
And he's shooting 28% from 3. Oy.
Yeah, if he shot 70%, he would have been really close to league leader in, or let's say he shot 80%.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he would have been like really close to Shai in points per game.
Despite the fact that he can't shoot, he's averaged 31.1, 30.4, and 30.4 the last 3 years.
He's so amazing.
What a ridiculous player. All right. Anyways, that's James. I'm Kyle. Joe Brazil is behind the glass. We got the handoff with one of D-Lo or KC. They'll be in here next, talking hoops, right here on ESPN 1320. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. It's Sacramento Sports Theater. Nice. I don't know who you're talking about, but this is my least favorite move in the sport. The throwing the head back to embellish the contact. It's the absolute worst thing, dude. Oh, Luke is really bad at it. So's Austin Reeves, dude.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. He gets all the calls.
Austin, it is the chart that shows.
Yeah, but what happens when the Lakers don't get the calls? Yeesh, they get mollywopped.
I didn't even look and see what the. I didn't even look and see what the free throws were in that
Hey,
game.
Tim Roy is an all-time good guy. I really like Tim Roy. He's such a nice guy.
Oh, I thought there was Tim Roy slander in the chat. I was about to block somebody.
No, every time I see him, he like comes over, says hi. You know, we have a good chat.
The Lakers got 16 free throw attempts to 10 for the Timberwolves in that game.
How many?
16 to 10.
Yeah, but they're used to 30.
Yeah.
I mean, the Lakers lead the league in free throw attempts every year.
I wanted to. There's this chart that shows. Oh, here it is. This is crazy.
Oh, they were third in free throw attempts this year.
This is insane. Look at this. This is just absurd, dude. They are plus 1,017.
The Lakers?
The Lakers since the start of the 22-23 season. They have shot 1,017 more free throws than their opponent. The Knicks are second with 358. This almost looks fake.
That is wild.
If you told me, if somebody, I will wear it if somebody's like, hey, you know what, because I have not researched this. If somebody went, hey, that's wrong, I'll be the first one. But I've seen versions of this chart from reputable places, so I'm gonna guess these numbers are at least somewhat close.
That's crazy talk.
Golden State minus 646.
Okay, so they had 1983 last year. I don't know that that's well. I guess we can't look at like ratings, like rankings on like how many free throw attempts, because we're talking game in and game out. So what that's saying is that we can look at free throw attempts, right? And say, oh, I'm looking at the 23-24 Lakers, and they had free throw attempts. They had 1983. The difference is that their opponents, this is wild. So free throw attempts, the Lakers were second in the league, but free throw attempts on the defensive side, your opponent's free throw defense, they were also second and only gave up 1,476. Yeah. So you're looking at a 507.
They're plus 507?
507.
This year they were a plus 222.
Okay. So someone in the league office got the memo.
That's crazy.
507 in the 23-24. So yeah, that's probably right. I didn't even go back to 22-23.
Looking right now.
Yeah.
Oh my God, 2182 to 1706.
So another 476.
Oh, so that's definitely right.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's wild.
That's so nuts. Oh man.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
James Ham's over there. I'm Kyle Madsen. I can't imagine. I'm trying to figure out if I'm looking at all these game ones. Milwaukee lost by 19 points to the Pacers, but that's a series, right? We're going to get 6 or 7 games out of that series.
I think. I don't know. It feels like for whatever reason, the Pacers have had the Bucks number forever.
Yeah. The Pacers are deeper for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
and
that
they
and they
might
just
be
beat you with a very interesting style.
yeah. And I'm just not impressed by Milwaukee, man. Giannis is awesome. And Bobby Portis is fun and a nice player. I don't know, man. I think we're getting a series there, though. I just don't trust the Pacers to just wipe the floor with a team through 5 games.
Well, I just like what do you do if you're the Bucks if you lose a series?
Dude.
Because this is like that would be 3 years in a row getting busted up in the first round.
Yes. At least this time it wasn't an 8 seed, but yeah. It'd be 3 years in a row. And this time you had a healthy Giannis.
This could be the moment where Giannis asks out. It could, like, very well. Like if you lose again, like it super tough.
Yeah. Clippers Denver is going to be awesome. I think Detroit Knicks is still going to be a series. But the thing that I underrated with Detroit, because they're my Pistons, everybody knows this.
Yep.
The thing I underrated with Detroit was the youth aspect.
That's it, man.
You saw it. You saw it, that got into the fourth quarter, and the Knicks won a 21-0 run, and the Pistons just had that know-how of how to get to the line, how to not get too high, not get too low. It just spiraled on them, and that was the thing I underrated a lot going into that series.
Well, it's the same exact thing with the Rockets and the Warriors. And the Warriors, I mean, the Rockets even have more. They have more veteran influence than the Pistons as far as like players who are on the court, players who are actually playing like big time, meaningful minutes.
Yeah.
But you see the youth factor. I mean, that's why we talk about how there's stages. You get into the playoffs as like a 7 or an 8 seed. You get crushed the first year. The second year, you might make it the second round, and you're really playing for the third, fourth year of your cycle. And like, I think we're seeing it play out right now, exactly how it typically does.
It's time now for the handoff. Taking the handoff from James and Kyle today, here's Jesse Tapia.
Hey, here he is. What's up, guys? Jesse Tapia, how you doing, man?
Doing good. How's everyone?
I like that one.
Doing great. Yeah, it's a good one. So we're talking game ones.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed them.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Yeah, it's a good time.
The Celtics, I feel like, because if you don't know, Jesse's a Celtics guy. I feel like the Celtics had the perfect game one for what that series is, where it was at least close enough where you're interested and you're into the game, and then by the time there was 5 minutes left, you're like, all right, game's over.
Yeah, I've learned.
But you got a good 38 minutes of good hoop there.
Yeah, Paolo Banchero is really good. So is Franz Wagner.
Man.
Maybe get those guys some help next year.
Okay,
Maybe
so
they can stay healthy next year.
Me watching that game, like because I've covered the Kings and I've heard it, like, man, DeMarcus Cousins doesn't get back. Oh, he pouts. And then who is the other player that they complain same thing with the Kings, where it's like, oh, you can see he doesn't try hard the whole time. I like Franz Wagner as a player, but my goodness,
he disappeared in that second half.
He was atrocious.
Yeah.
Every time he made him, they had the 2-on-1 break where he held onto the ball way too long, didn't hit the guy on the left, and then tried to do a drop pass that got picked off. Then he stood there while they went back on the other end and dunked on him. And it was like 4-point swing. He turns the ball over again, I believe.
He just had the one where he just lost the handle at midcourt.
Buried the 3.
Yep.
Game over.
That was ball game.
It was that 3. It was like, oh, that's a ball game right there. Up, boom, over.
Yeah, he was playing good at the start, but I don't know. He just kind of fell off after that.
Yep.
Paolo couldn't stop Paolo at all. But
Paolo's incredible, man.
Yeah.
I think we did that draft of guys who were 25 and younger, and I think Paolo was my first pick.
He's next. Like,
he's
kind of
incredible,
ready.
man.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. They need him and Franz to stay healthy, and Mo Wagner to stay healthy. I think he tore his ACL.
Jalen Suggs.
Jalen Suggs being out's a big deal, but they just don't. I don't know that you're trusting Cole Anthony to be your offensive spark on a night in, night out basis. They feel like they're one dude away from being legit.
Yeah,
maybe 2.
Right.
I feel like Orlando's always this way, though. They always have a collection.
They've been for
of
like
players.
the last 10 years. It feels like
they're like the Steelers.
No, a little bit worse, I guess.
A little bit worse, but go ahead. Sorry.
But if you go back, I mean, remember like the Aaron Gordon, who else was on that team? They had Vucevic. They had who's
Victor Oladipo was supposed to be a guy. I think.
Evan Fournier.
Terrence Ross on that team.
Yeah, they always had like, you're like, oh, I like their players. And if you're like, oh, I would like to go trade with that team, they have players that I would like to trade for, but then they never win. And you're always like, oh, I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Might be the path the Blazers are on right now, where they just have a lot of nice pieces. It just never quite coalesces.
Not the Eastern Conference Kings, because they've been in the playoffs the last couple of years, but you're still kind of waiting for them to make that next move, huh?
Who, the Magic? Yeah, like the one.
It's like, you see, you got pieces, but you got to finish the job now.
Right, they might have to trade Jalen Suggs. This is what we talked about the Kings a couple of years ago. It's like, man, if they're going to take that leap, they might have to get rid of a player we really like.
Yeah,
they might, if they're going to take that leap to title contender. Again, we're not talking playoffs. We're going, hey, you're going to be a title. You might have to trade Keegan. Like, oh, you might have to. It might have to be that kind of move. They might have to trade Jalen Suggs. They might have to trade Franz Wagner if they decide that this is how he's going to be in the postseason. They're like, oh, don't know. So we're going to try and maximize his value.
Yeah, because like I see the vision with that team, but it's like, there's something that you guys just can't get over yet.
I agree. I'm right there with you. Anything else jump out to you from the game once? I wanted to, real quick, I'm sorry. What were you going to say? Utah.
I was going to say Warriors and Rockets.
Okay, good transition, because that's where I wanted to go.
Okay, perfect.
You brought up the youth thing with the Rockets, and I'm so interested to see, because where it showed itself last night, Fred VanVleet, not a youth guy. He beat the Warriors in the finals 6 years ago. But he went 2 of 13 from 3. It
was not good at all.
I don't expect that to happen again.
Nope.
But then you go look at the Rockets, and it's like, man, it's not like they have another guy who can light it up from 3. The difference that I'm interested to see over the next 5-6 games, however many this series goes, the youth came into me watching Jalen Green and Amen Thompson go to the rack. They were going to the basket it was like they had no plan, and they just went, I'm going to athlete my way to the cup, and I'm just going to score. And then they would get under the basket with no plan. The Warriors are collapsing on them because they play good defense, and now they're throwing bad shots at the rim.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see if now that they've played a full game, if that slows down for them, and you start seeing some of those Amen Thompson shots go down, and you start seeing some of the Jalen Green shots go down. That's where I think there could be a difference here. But man, at the end of that game, they cut it to 3, and then it was like Golden State went, okay, hey, we're going to lock in and be veterans.
Yeah, because you hear all the narratives about them, like going into the playoffs, like young team, this, and that. It's like, I wasn't really buying into it too much. I was like, okay, maybe it was a little bit more true than you thought watching game 1.
I just don't know where they're going to get offense outside of, hey, maybe Jalen Green and Amen Thompson slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
But man,
that's where you need it. It's going to be one of those guys.
When Jalen Green catches fire, though, he's like one of the best,
awesome.
the biggest streak shooters in the league. Yeah. Like he can really, really light you up.
Yeah.
He just hasn't found that consistency, I think, yet to like just be that established star. Because when they won, I think it was like 10 in a row last season. He was lining them up like 30 a game, it felt like.
Yeah, he was awesome down the stretch last year, for sure.
Well, that ain't so young. He just turned 23.
God.
There's that too.
And he's in his 4th season.
Jabari Smith Jr. off the bench.
Yeah, these guys are all coming into the league at 18 and 19. Yeah.
Gosh, they're so good. I don't know, because Golden State's defense is very, very good.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, man, if they're getting into these half-court battles, I'm not sure.
Yeah. It's gonna be tough. Yesterday was ugly.
Yesterday was gross.
Here's a weird thing I never knew before. Kwame Brown and Jabari Smith Jr. are cousins. Huh.
Sure.
I didn't know that as well.
I'm just like
all-time great NBA cousin duos. 916-909-1320.
How did you find that out?
It's on Basketball Reference. The all-time greatest cousin duo is T-Mac and Vince Carter.
No, of course, yeah. They found out they were cousins at a family reunion.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like
they pulled up to a family reunion and we're like,
wait, that's Tracy McGrady. Wait,
no, I watched this the other day. Vince Carter was talking to his grandma, and she started telling him about her other grandson that was going to play in the league or was going to be drafted or something. And it's like, who? And he said, well, Tracy McGrady. And like what? He's my cousin?
Can you imagine talking to grandma? She's like, yeah, Vince, you're really good, but my other grandson Tracy's a little bit better.
That's weird. How would you? Yeah, it's just weird. You didn't know.
I got to find out how she ranks them.
I would love to know that as well.
Me too.
I think Vince is the best.
Vince had a better career.
Okay.
Tracy McGrady is one of those players.
Tracy could have been better.
Tracy McGrady is one of those players who was, his ascension was before I started following basketball like super close. So I just trust people who are big Tracy McGrady people. and just know that he's one of those dudes who just, from a scoring perspective, there just aren't that many people who could put in the basket like he could.
Yeah, one of the most influential players for young players. Like Kevin Durant will tell you he's a T-Mac guy.
Yeah.
There are a lot of guys that were T-Mac guys.
So many.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of guys now, Kyrie guys.
Yep.
A lot of young guys.
Yeah.
Love Kyrie Irving. All right. Like, I get it. Kyrie's incredible. But what do you guys got coming up on D'Lo and Casey?
Playoffs, talk a little bit of Kings. James Ham will be there. It's going to have a lot of fun today.
Can't wait. That's James Ham. Joe Brazil's behind the glass. I'm Kyle Madsen. D'Lo and KC coming up next. Should be a fun one. Don't go anywhere. We're on ESPN 1320 Sacramento Sports Leader. The Insider's back tomorrow at 10 a.m. on this very station. Until then, drink water. Be nice, people. Chatty House, appreciate you guys.